Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm going to discuss themes and cool moments from the new show, Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. If you're a fan of the podcast and would like to consider pledging your support, there will be a link in the episode description for you to check out the various tiers offered. Also, please be sure to check out our TeePublic store to buy some Force Ghost Conversations merchandise. And without further ado, it's time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another installment of Force Ghost Conversations. I can't wait to chat about this new show, Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, and to just chat about the wackiness, the adventure, but also the heart and thematical elements that are within this show, which are plentiful. So I can't wait to get on that. But longtime listeners to the show know that we do a segment called Cloud City Gossip, where we run through all the news that's taken place in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm adjacent galaxy over the past week. So we're going to cover that first. And even before we get into that, so I know I'm putting a bunch of preambles before we even get into the main topic here. Uh, you can probably tell that sounding a bit nasally on the side of things here. I do have a little bit of I had a bit of a cold this week. I think I'm on the mend. Folks. So no need to worry about me. But yes, we did get back from our Paris vacation. It was lovely. Thank you all for asking. And for those that reached out, had a wonderful time. I hope you were able to follow along on our Instagram and Twitter feeds for all of the fun stuff that we did over the last week, of course, being particularly for interest to most of the people listening to the show would be Disneyland Paris, which was a really fun, really fun park. Lots of really exclusive rides and even certain rides that are different in a certain way, uh comparable to like a big Thunder Mountain, right, are even better at Disneyland Paris, and it's almost indescribable how awesome and different they are. So definitely worth the visit if you're going out to that area of the world. I definitely would say you could probably do it all in about a day and a half if you really want to cover most things, or 2 days if you really want to give it all its just due diligence, meaning shows and eating and all that different type of stuff. So I think that would definitely cover all your bases there on that one. But particularly of note, I wanted to say Hyperspace Mountain is the absolute gem of a ride. It's such a blast. Literally, you get launched off into their version of Space Mountain with a Star Wars overlay that has basically been an overlay for quite some time now, from what I understand. Um, so it's just awesome. A lot of barrel rolls, and you go upside down a few times in that ride. It's just it bonkers how awesome it is. French Star Tours is also there too, which is also a fun experience. Knowing, not or I should say, not knowing any of the language. Right, I have a very 3 week old basic level of French, and to hear like French C3PO and see Kashyyyk. I saw Kashyyyk for the first time on Star Tours during that endeavor, which is really awesome. And finally, I wanted to note that the one really exclusive ride that is there in the Disneyland park, I know they have Walt Disney Studios, which has a few other exclusives there, but I did want to note the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril roller coaster, which we rode twice because of how awesome it is. We rode it once during daytime and then once at nighttime when it basically was a walk on. Um, and we rode in the front seat that second time. And boy, was it a lot more intense. We got whooped around and all that, and it was just a real blast and a treasure to be at that park, and it was just a lot of fun. So definitely hope that everybody can get a chance to go explore that if you ever get the opportunity to, out in that area of the galaxy, so to speak. So let's get into some of the news that has taken place over the past couple of weeks here, because I know we were off last week. Hope you enjoyed. Well, we weren't necessarily off, but we were off in terms of the Cloud City Gossip segment. So I hope that you enjoyed our conversation with Jason and Gabe about celebrating 1 year of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I know we had an absolute blast chatting about it. I hope that it conveyed to the listeners, or you all, like our passion and enthusiasm for that movie. So let's get into the news here. So I think the topic of the day is kind of top of mind. Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, the new series. It's a 4-part show. Is now available on Disney Plus. It came out on September 13th, so just a week ago about, and it's doing incredibly well, critically and reception wise across the board from critics and fans. And I think that you should all give it a chance because we're going to talk about it today. So, of course, there will be full spoiler discussion in our main topic discussion here. But I think you should watch it for yourself because it's a complete blast, really bonkers, out of left field things, so creative at the end of the day, and just really give it its just due. Give it its just due. Additionally, Ewan McGregor, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I don't know why I said that 3 times, but let's go with it. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was introduced, or I should say inducted, by none other than Hayden Christensen. So always good to see the two space Jedi bros back together whenever we can, and hopefully we're always on the bandwagon here for more Kenobi content here at Forest Coast Conversations. So if it's available and there's an opportunity, go for it. I know Ewan McGregor's always behind it, so I say yes. Just announced like 2 days ago was, at least at the time of this recording here, so don't, time and place on that one. There's a new Bad Batch comic miniseries announced, and it's coming from Dark Horse Comics, and it'll be 5 issues, and it'll be written by Michael Mrecci and illustrated by Reese Hannigan with Elisabetta D'Amico. I hope I got that right, and Michael Atea with lettering by Comic Craft. Now, the first of this 5-issue run will come out on January 15th of 2025, and that's frankly all the information that we got at this point. I don't really know what the mission is going to entail that they're going to go on, what the story is, where it takes place in the Bad Batch timeline, frankly. So definitely going to check this one out because, we love the Bad Batch in this household. And the fact that we're getting more stories in that world is a good sign to me. So let's support it and go to your local comic shop and see what is available for you and put a subscription down on it so you don't miss out on an issue, or buy digitally, whatever you need to do. Go support this thing. Finally, we did want to acknowledge the news of the past 2 weeks here that unfortunately, James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars, and of course many other things, has passed away at the age of 93. Just a truly magnificent vocal presence in everything that he did, but also just a great actor. So, I mean, I think some of the big acting roles that come to mind, of course, like I've mentioned, Darth Vader, the iconic voice, one of the few that knew the big reveal in 1980. Um, gave that booming presence to such a large, staunch figure that I don't think has the same impact. I mean, obviously, you listen to the David Prowse on set conversations that he was having in the suit, and it just wouldn't have matched up if that's the Vader that we got at the end of the day. No, James Earl Jones doing the ADR voice over top of that was really pinnacle to making that character sing, and I was so glad to see that he was able to reprise that role several times over the course of his career in both Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars Rebels and Rogue One. And now I think that they've created some type of agreement with the James Earl Jones family and estate, probably, to continue using the voice in a way that they did with the AI generation in Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he'll probably live on via that character. Well, he will live on via that character. But if they do more stories in the future with Vader, I'm sure they will explore that opportunity more and more as time goes on. But of course, Mufasa, I think that is another, for at least my generation, one of the big things that he is remembered for. And I got to reprise that role as well in the Jon Favreau live action version of The Lion King. I don't know if he's involved in the Barry Jenkins Mufasa film that's coming out in December, but again, iconic for those roles, particularly. Field of Dreams, I think, is another one that also pops to mind, which I actually saw for the first time this past year. And just truly, really appreciated his work in that and the gravitas that he brought to that role. And finally, I did want to note, I think maybe his first or one of his first acting gigs is in Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learn to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Watched that in history class, AP history class back in 2013 for the first time. Fell in love with that movie. Now we own it on 4K. It is a true blast of a film in many ways. Again, puns all intended all around here in this Lego filled extravaganza episode. But yeah, James Earl Jones, just a true presence in the acting world, will certainly be missed, and may he find somewhat of peace in this afterlife. So, I think we'll do a larger James Earl Jones Remembers discussion next week. That'll probably be our main topic of the episode. So that is it for Cloud City Gossip this week, folks. And we'll be back on the other side of this short break with our Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy conversation. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations. Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. This show rocks. I'll tell you straight out of the gate. I loved it. But I also was highly anticipating this show because of many things, right? So, first off, just the concept, right? It's like if you were to describe me, right, it's like the what if concept, right? If you were to watch like the What If show for Marvel on Disney Plus, and then I know it's great. It's great. I absolutely love it. But there's a formula for that within the Marvel cinematic universe already and within Marvel Comics. So there's a foundation in that universe for the what if concept. And I would have said, Star Wars doesn't really need that, right? Uh, I don't think it really fits in the mold. It's just it doesn't make sense. We kind of have Visions, which really fills that void for me in a way, playing in the sandbox yet not really affecting the story overall. Um, it just wasn't something on the top of my list, right? And I know all these podcasts and YouTubes would be engaging in that conversation week in and week out, especially when the What If new series comes out or a new trailer for Marvel. And then that would ignite that conversation again. And I just go, I don't know. But as soon as they announced Rebuild the Galaxy a couple months ago, and then they kind of showcased this concept, I was like, of course, is the perfect way to do that. If you're going to do this what if scenario where everything is on the table and everything is creative, then a Lego series or a special or a short is the way to do that, especially in Star Wars. And I was hooked from the start based off of that concept because creativity is not a limited thing. It's not. Everyone is creative. Everyone has the ability to be creative, and sometimes you just need the tool in front of you, the right tool, let's just say, in order to make yourself mine that empire of creativity within each of us, which I think is something that Lego does really well. It brings out this in so many people. It gives us a liminal space in order to think, well, what is possible? What isn't possible? Why are there rules? And Lego is a great way to do this. Now, the second reason why I was highly anticipating the show, beyond just what I just shared with you all, is the fact that at D23 a month ago, I was able to attend a marquee panel where Rebuild the Galaxy was on full display. And you can see those pictures and a little bit of video that I took on our Twitter and Instagram and TikTok accounts. And just to hear uh, James Waugh from the Lucasfilm Story Group, as well as the executive producers, Dan and Ben, and showrunners, to hear their passion and creativity behind this work. It just was palpable. The energy in the room was all over, like it was through the roof, and I just loved hearing about it straight from the creator's mouth, and to see it also portrayed on the volume. Right, I got to see that new trailer that came out amidst the same time that they was released on the volume screen. It was absolutely perfect in my opinion, and they showcased the new cast that they had. That was the big unveiling. They also gave away a little bit of posters that I'm holding in my hand right now, kind of like not even 8x10s, but kind of like maybe it's an 8x10. You could probably fit this in an 8x10, I imagine, of just various posters from the Star Wars universe over the years, just in this Star Wars What If not Rebel Flat, Star Wars What If Rebuild the Galaxy flair, right? So I'm looking at the first one, for example, here, which is probably the most sought after one of this group, which is Jar Jar doing the Anakin Episode One poster with the shadow being Vader on the Tatooine homestead, um, the Lars homestead home, right? The famous Episode One picture, and then of course the other one is kind of the Attack of the Clones one, but it's with Greedo and Leia. A Rodian shall not know anger nor hatred nor love. Just love that these things existed, and the fact that someone created this concept with Lego in mind and this particular story and series is just wonderful creativity. And I love seeing people be creative. I love it when they're able to put their passions into something. And you can tell behind the scenes, everything was 110% behind this work here. So those are the reasons why I was so thrilled to get into this series and to chat about it with you all. But then I watched it, and it's 4 episodes. They're about 25 minutes each, so you get probably get through it in one sitting because probably the end of the day is really like 20 minutes each, um, leading to about like an hour 10, hour 20 when you add in credits or factor in credits, let's just say. Um, so just a true blast and an ode to creativity and storytelling and the art of Lego, the art of Lego, something that has been really pivotal in my life over the years. I also didn't want to miss out on the fact that I did win a Dark Falcon Lego set, a highly sought after commodity from the show, stemming from the show particularly, and it includes a lot of the exclusive minifigs in that thing, and this was the big prize of that. Um, of the panel that I attended at D23. So being able to win that and walk around the show floor with that the rest of the day was an honor and a privilege. And share the good news about Lego Rebuild the Galaxy as people asked me about where did you get that? Where can I buy that? I don't know. And I was like, well, it's kind of sold out online apparently. And I won it at a panel. So I was kind of it, and I talked about the show and all that, and people were engaging and really interested in it. So whew. So obviously, with all that into play, I would then watch the show with much vigor and anticipation, and then come out loving it. Right, I seen the positive buzz amidst a lot of the podcast and Star Wars community that maybe had watched the show a little early, and their reactions online were really exciting. And then, of course, I was in Paris for a week, so I didn't get to watch it on day one, and hence why we are chatting about it almost a week and a half after it comes out here. So, full on spoiler discussion, everybody. If you haven't watched Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, go watch it on Disney Plus, and then come right back to this moment in time. You have been forewarned. But first and foremost, I just wanted to talk about a lot of the themes and thematic elements from this show that I thought were just really on top of the thing, and it just stems around creativity. I just love that these characters, Sig and Dev, are creating their own Star Wars story. They feel like they're nobodies, they're nerf herders on the planet of Vanessa, and especially Sig. Right, I think this is a character that I can certainly relate to, a person that kind of feels a little awkward in social interactions, doesn't know exactly what to say at the right time. Uh, Chooses the secluded life sometimes, willingly too, um, and just sometimes longs for being a part of their own story and just creating that themselves, but not necessarily knowing how and having the creativity or being pushed in order to do such a thing, right? And that's where this all stems from is Sig and his brother Dev. Sig is played by Gaten Ma- Matarazzo, uh, who is in Stranger Things primarily. It's where you'd find them. And then Dev is played by Tony Revolori. You've seen him in Spider-Man, the new MCU Spider-Man films, many other things. He was in Willow. Oh my gosh, how could I forget Willow? The new series that was taken away from us, sadly. Uh, so they're both in this show, and they're the main actors or characters, I should say, at the end of things in this. And their journey and arc is what leads us through this story overall. So they're brothers, and they stumble upon a Jedi temple on Vanessa that has what's called the cornerstone of the galaxy, and then Dev pushes Sig to take the cornerstone. Excuse me as I take a sip of water here. Sig takes the cornerstone, and then all havoc wreaks loose after that. And apologies there. Sig takes the cornerstone. Everything goes out of whack because of that, and a new galaxy is reforged. Well, we learned from Jedi Bob. Of course, Jedi Bob is in this because why not? If it's a Lego Star Wars thing that has no rules or boundaries whatsoever, everything is on the table. Why not introduce Jedi Bob, played of course by Bobby Moynihan, who we've seen, of course, in Star Wars Resistance leading up to this, but also just I've seen him recently in the Great Camino Caper, the Attack of the Clones table read that they did in Los Angeles surrounding D23 as well. So Jedi Bob's there. He was protecting the temple. Didn't do such a great job at it. Tried to protect the universe because he lost his own universe at the same rate too. And now everything went out of whack. Everything is kind of rebuilt in a different way, and no idea is off the table. But this problem, who forces Sig, who is also force sensitive, to become a part of a story, to find friends in a way that he never did with Yessie and others. And I just like that it starts in this era of um, what is predictable and safe versus everything going out of whack, and then because of that, what do we become as characters, as people? I think this is awesome because of that, because it just is a great way to literally, you're on the table, right? Imagine all of us at the table with a Lego set in front of us and just someone going, "Wah!" Taking the table out underneath and letting everything fall to the floor. And then how do you piece it back together? What are the fun combinations and permutations that you can get out of that? And that's what this show leads to. But you get wonderful things out of it. Like this time, you are the story. These are great things said in it. Sometimes going too fast is as bad as going too slow. These are great themes. Like being a hero is easier when you don't know the cost. That's just great. It's all about storytelling. Who's telling your story? How do you create the story? What do you do with the story? But I think for me, my favorite theme within this show was the fact that they say you don't need to be a hero to do heroic things. You just need to try. Boy, that should be the cornerstone of every story, right? Luke Skywalker isn't automatically heroic because he is heroic, right? He's heroic because of what he tries to do a good thing. He tries to do his best. He tries to put good into the world, and usually when you put good into the world, you get good back. Um, so when you add all that together, you get the foundations of a thematically wise a great show. But at the same time, you get all of the weird and bonkers and wacky things of this. And I just wanted to just run through all of them that I had written down here. So I tried to write down everything that I thought was really outstanding and just wild and wacky, right? um, First, I did want to note that it's a great Star Wars Disney Plus intro, like that whole thing doing it Lego style. I liked it a lot. Luke Skywalker saying "Time for a War in the Stars," also fun. So two of the things that I thought were a fun way to kind of upend everything is so clone Akbars, right? Salacious B. Crumb as the Emperor in this galaxy. The X-wing Tie Fighters, of course, that was a big one for me. Dev becoming a Sith Lord and being the main antagonist within this series. Didn't see that one coming particularly. Well, I did see it in the trailer, but if you were walking into this and didn't know what you were getting into, then him becoming a Sith Lord who rules everything, pretty much Darth Devastator, right? Not just silly Darth Dev, was great. Darth Ray being in this, one of Dev's apprentice, right? The rule of two goes out the window in this story. Ewok bounty hunters was so incredible to see witnessed in this show. The Moss Isley Marina, not Maria. Um, Moss Isley is kind of like a water-based planet, and Luke Skywalker is kind of a surf bro. Him, just kind of really cool. Max Rebo also being a pod racer on the water. Hey, you don't see that often. Droids are the servers in Chalmun's Cantina, right? No longer we don't serve their kind; they're literally the ones serving. Um, Charming and suave Maul. Who wouldn't say, like, he's the kind of the hero at the end of the day. He calls in Leia and Greedo and all them to help out. So like that's top of the charts there on that one. All the Sith Lords, like I mentioned, no rule of two here in this one. Darth Ray, Darth Nubs, Darth Rose Tico, Darth Hammerhead, Darth Jar Jar, of course, Jar Jar being the big one in this one. Ahmad Best coming back to um, reprise that role. Darth Kit Fisto. I love, especially when Darth Jar Jar is like, Misa always been the Phantom Menace. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad someone said it. Um, and of course, on the Jedi side, Jedi Palpatine. He's kind of like the head of this new Jedi Order that they have. Jedi Vader, Jedi Jabba, Jedi Lobot, Jedi IG-88, Jedi Dooku, Jedi Janna, Jedi Cad Bane. Yes, I have a Cad Bane displayed here in my office. And now knowing that in an alternate universe, this guy's a Jedi, that is pretty cool to me. Leia is with Greedo. We alluded to that with the poster, but also just kind of bonkers to see that in play out. Uh, when Han especially was like, Greedo shot his shot first. Like, oh, love that they just brought into that. They didn't have to. General Grievous being a part of this new rebellion, Han being a traitor, kind of like a DJ like character, a person that doesn't really have a role in this. He's kind of upset that Greedo stole his girl from him, and because of that, uh, he takes on this new persona here, using the cornerstone to like a Death Star laser gun to rebuild planets in the mold of the person that is developing it. Thought that was a really exquisite way to bring old creativity from the world in the other one into the new one that is this current galaxy that they're in. Um, And lastly, the Landalorian, right? Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams back to voice the role as in Mando gear. No longer Din Djarin, but Lando Calrissian, and of course, probably the thing that fits the most from the previous galaxy is still Grogu is still with the Mandalorian. Now, of course, not with Din Djarin, but with Lando Calrissian, who's now in the armor. These are just some of the many things within this show that are outlandish and over the top, but also fit within the Lego style of humor and the way that they attempt to convey storytelling within this. Because again, nothing is really off limits when it comes to Lego, and that's really a charming aspect of it all. I think the Muppets kind of have a similar brand of humor in a different way, right? They did the Muppets Haunted Mansion and many other things and spoofs on Disney Plus. Um, so with Lego Holiday Special, uh, the Haunted Tales that they did for Halloween season, the summer special they did as well. Um, this is a great continuation of that because obviously they're running out of holidays to keep doing. They weren't going to do like St. Patrick's Day in the Star Wars galaxy, I don't think. But they did get to finally this new show, which does kind of end on a bit of a cliffhanger, right? Jedi Bob says that you can't rebuild your galaxy; you just have to protect this one. Otherwise, if this cornerstone is taken away, then everything kind of gets upended again. And this show does end on a bit of a where are they going next? Could there be a season two? Will there be a season two? Um, so basically, as you probably have seen the ending at this point, the cornerstone is restored. Dev goes away, but he's not without resolve to take back the cornerstone and do things his own way. Uh, Jedi Bob and Sig are going to go to Alistan Nor, which is apparently a force building planet where they're a group of force creators, which is kind of what they've dubbed for people that can really build well using the force to create. Uh, Kind of similar to us at home if we're building a Lego set, right? I think that would be our appropriate dub title is a force creator. You putting the bricks together and then creating something at the end of the day, something out of nothing in some regards. Um, so yeah, they go uh their separate ways here, and Dev, especially he hires the Landalorian to go get the cornerstone again. So that is where we lead off here, and maybe if a lot of people are watching it, I know it's been critically well received and by fans and just everybody across the board that it's generally it's been well received overall, and if maybe they have the viewership numbers to match it. Maybe it gets a season two. I hope it does because I think the foundation they set up within the show and the storytelling and the creativity they've kind of brought into it at the end of the day are really fun aspects to extrapolate things from the Star Wars galaxy, and obviously the thematic elements that I've noted in this episode are prevalent throughout and just really important, I think, for both children and people of any age to recognize and learn. Right, that heroic one especially still sticks with me even as I've been just kind of musing through this episode here. Um, you don't need to be a hero to do heroic things. You just need to try. Right. I think we could all take that today in our daily lives. Go try to be a hero today. Do something in your daily life that is going to be heroic in some regards. Um, Taking out the trash could be easily that, or doing the dishes, acknowledging, asking someone how they're doing could be a great way to be heroic in your own regards. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do. We can try our best, and if we fall, we can pick ourselves up and try again the next day. Those are the opportunities we have presented to us as human beings, and I think this show showcases that on a fantastic level. So thank you folks for listening to this wonderful episode of Force Ghost Conversations where we chatted all things Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. If you haven't watched it yet, again, I implore you, go watch it for yourself. Come back, let's chat about this episode. If you want to follow us on any of the social media channels, just hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Just search for Force Ghost Conversations and you'll find us in some capacity. Um, and let's continue the conversation. What did you find to be the most bonkers or outlandish thing within this show? Where do you think they could go with another season? Will the cornerstone be taken away and will everything be upended once more? Who knows? Let's find out. If you're listening, Disney, I want to see more. I do. I absolutely do. So with that, folks, that is all I had for this week's episode. We'll be back, of course, with next week, and I believe we'll be remembering James Earl Jones in a lot more detail than we did today. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and we'll be back very soon with a new episode. May the force be with you. Take care.